Good morning. Good evening, everyone. My name is Olga, and I want to talk to you about cultural differences today. I will tell you my story, and through that I hope you will better understand the point I want to make. I hope it will make you think about it for a bit, and maybe even talk about it in your teams. If it sparkles a single discussion, my mission is complete. So, I was born in USSR. In USSR, women were pictured as sort of superhumans. They were admitted to be strong and equal to men, unable to do all man duties. I grew up actually on Rosa Luxemburg Street with Clara Zetkin Street nearby, so feminism was part of official ideology, especially after World War II, when in my country every third person died, and most of them were men. Women had to do all kinds of work, repair the whole country basically, rebuild cities. And they managed to, they had to. On top of that, they were also expected to fulfill the household and good wife duties. No one took that off. For many years, this mindset stayed true. They said women were equal, women could achieve anything. But de facto, if and only, women put tremendous effort into it. Achievements were attributed to hard work rather than talent. And women were also expected to put that effort in. As a result, if you achieve something, it is taken as norm or even undervalued, because you're equal, right? And if you fail, that means you just haven't put enough effort, and it's only you to blame. Growing up surrounded with this mindset, I naturally became a perfectionist. Good girls get only good grades, right? This trait is very common in my country, Belarus, and in other post-Soviet countries. And please don't get me right here. My parents did their best to protect me and my sister from a lot of this nonsense. They raised us embracing our individuality. They empowered us to find our passion and succeed in the field we choose. I felt encouraged to choose a technical career. I also had role models in front of me because my mom is a programmer and my grandmother was a physics teacher. To choose a technical path was a norm for girls. You just needed to work harder. I felt a sort of obligation to succeed, a responsibility to be awesome in my field, and not only for myself, but for all the women in tech. I had to prove we were able. I could not let all the other women in tech down. That's not my thinking anymore, but I see it often in others. I believe that we are, or we want to be, a bit way too professional at work, especially early in our careers. Sometimes by mimicking male behaviors. We don't allow ourselves to relax and let that girlish, natural part of us come into sight. That high professionalism, superficial professionalism, blocks us from being our authentic selves at work, for being vulnerable and seeking help, and therefore from building better relationships, because helping each other is what really drives building relationships. It could be one of the reasons why women have a harder time to bond and become part of a team, I think. We have to always stay focused, accountable, knowledgeable. We may not fail or not know. We take it so seriously that at times we doubt ourselves. What if we got those opportunities because we are women or underrepresented? What if we were hired to improve gender numbers in the org? This is called Imposter Syndrome, and it's being discussed a lot lately. The thinking is very natural, and the sad truth is it could partially be true. But remember that those overrepresented often get their opportunities because of privilege, and probably more often than we do. We are just trying to compensate for that. I've noticed another interesting tendency. Imposter syndrome plays the most when I get praise. Try to remember how you usually take compliments. I tend to deny or even object, and that's stupid. It feels bad for both the giver and the receiver. Men don't do that. They don't have a culture norm such as a good girl must be shy. So it must be a learned reaction. Can we then change it? Could we just say thank you instead? I tried for many years with very little progress. I don't know why, maybe it is just me, but it seems like gratitude is not that much of an animal trait. It's hard to make it an instinctive reaction. Saying all that, I hope I've pictured the heavy load we carry with us every day and all the small challenges we overcome on an everyday basis without even noticing them sometimes. That seems too much. We don't have to carry all that responsibility. But how can we change it for ourselves at first? I found only two things that really worked for me. Take it with pride and share. If you feel like you can't take off the load and let go of that anxiety, at least take it with pride. For all the effort you've put in, for your brilliant self, for your unique background, for the support and opportunities you get from others, for simply choosing to be a woman in tech. You know, there are many examples when women stood strong, stronger than men, stronger than anyone expected. On this slide, you would see photos of Belarusian protests having we call female face. A woman covers a boy with her body to protect him from being beaten. Women face brutality, aggression, and imprisonment. That makes me feel profoundly sad, but also proud for coming from this little country, proud for being one of them. The other thing that helped me was to share the responsibility with others around you. Allow them to take off part of it. Shared responsibility is so much easier to carry. We do it together. Together we need to open up the world of tech for more girls to come. I could actually stop here, but then I would tell you only half of my story, because I think now it's time to move this issue from our personal responsibility into the side of our teams, colleagues, and maybe leadership. Only collectively can we move closer to solving it. 5 years ago, I moved to Sweden and then Denmark. It was a big shift in my life, of course. It has changed all my perspectives. Basically, it has changed who I am. I worked in big international companies, and suddenly I realized it was not just me. I was surrounded by many others who have the same problems, who also felt like they did not belong. And it was not about women and underrepresented anymore. There were many people with so different cultural backgrounds that it felt harder to understand each other, harder to work together, harder to build relationships. It's especially visible with migrants and non-natives. Together with language, we bring culture. In tech, it's most often American culture. We learn it from TV, from movies. We can easily sense it when a movie is not American. Have you noticed? So what does it mean for non-natives? A strong accent makes us sound less knowledgeable, less trustable, less skilled. There is research showing it, and we do it unconsciously, though at least people recognize it and try to accommodate us. So we work on it. We improve our speech, we learn to small talk, we learn to mimic this new culture we live in. Okay, so now we sound fine, we blend in, but do we? We may look and sound alike, but we still hold our cultural background. We may struggle to get jokes. We almost never make them ourselves. Language makes us act as a bit of a different person. Having almost perfect professional English, oftentimes you could not understand them talking during lunch or lost track of discussion very quickly. Not always could I relate to what they were talking about and rarely add anything to it. We feel different about so many things. Our attitude to politics, police, education, working new moms, internet moms, etc., etc. Once I told a story to my colleagues about how I was stopped by police. I will tell it now to you very briefly and just check your reaction. So I was driving in my car, listening to music, maybe even singing loud. When I got out on a highway, I noticed a police car with flashing lights behind me. So what did I do? I switched lanes to let them pass and forgot about them. They could not possibly be coming after me. I'm never stopped by police and drive super safely. But after another kilometer or so, I noticed that again, and this time they were shouting something in the megaphone. I turned off music and realized it was me who they followed. Oh my God. I stopped, obviously, and it was quite a stressful situation. They were angry after following me for several kilometers, but we sorted it out. They got me just fine. I was lucky enough to meet an understanding officer that day. And though I disagree with the initial reason why they stopped me, that's not the point. How was the whole story to you? To me and all my friends, it was a funny story. Probably to the police officers, it was too. It turned out to be really hard and took me a couple of minutes to explain to my colleagues why this was funny. In my country, we make jokes about the police. We don't trust them. We disrespect them often. We feel proud if we trick the system. We feel adventurous if we broke the law and were not caught. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not too much. None of that was relatable for my colleagues. They hold a lot of respect for the police and treated it very seriously. To them, it sounded as if I was telling them about committing a serious crime. And such misunderstandings are very common in international organizations. And yes, you'll get into these awkward situations from time to time. That's our reality in modern times of globalization. I just want to say, don't shy away from your background, from your culture. It is part of your identity, and it is exactly what makes diversity so impactful and advantageous. Bring it to the table. Learn to blend and mix your own culture up with the culture you live currently in. But then still on personal level, can we do anything about it in our teams? Can we help others feel more comfortable and understood? Essentially, how can we better include others? The first thing that came up when I asked people about it was awareness. Only by acknowledging the huge difference can we move away from our biases. We need to constantly ask ourselves, how can we understand and truly include those around us, regardless of their accent and background? I wish I could give you a set of tools to use, but unfortunately there are no shortcuts you could take here. One can mimic diversity in the org. One can work on just closing the gap, hiring for numbers, and hope inclusion comes naturally one day. Maybe it does. No one can mimic inclusion. Inclusion is about how we feel at work. We're in the feelings land now. No technique can magically solve it for us or make us suddenly feel different. Same as with building relationships. We still need to spend time and effort on building them. Even if you put two ideally matching people in a room, they still need to talk and interact to bond. I hope we start thinking and talking about inclusion as much as we do about diversity. I hope here is, in those discussions, some good ideas and solutions will be found. One thing except awareness that I think can really help here is empathy, quite obviously. We hear and talk a lot about it these days too. And I 100% agree, it is key, it is crucial. But I want to take it one step further because to me, empathy is very theoretical. We all know how important it is, but how do we improve it? How exactly does it help? My personal answer to it is curiosity. Get curious about people. Try to learn more about those who surround you every day. Even if you know them for years professionally, try to learn them as human beings too, just a little bit. You could use one of many exercises to facilitate and structure it if you want, like skill market. You could introduce a new process, maybe something like Swedish fika, having coffee for 15 minutes with no work discussions sometimes a week. Or you could even invite your team over barbecue one day. I don't know, it's up to you. I think practical solutions will come naturally after we decide to get to know people around us. If you open up your heart and turn your curiosity towards others, maybe they'll reply back. So this was my story. And I'm curious, what is yours?